Hey everybody, Jim here with another video for you. This is 50 Years in Film, my 25 favorite films from the 2010s. But before we begin, at the end of this video, if you like what you see, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, but most importantly, please leave those comments below. Now, before we begin, I want to start with the normal caveats. These are not the best 25 films from that decade. They are my favorite from that decade. It has nothing to do with quality film. It is strictly based on my enjoyability factor. If I'm going to pick movies from this decade, which ones do I want to watch first? So we are just going to go down from 25 to 1. We're not going to go into any plots. We're going to jam through this. As you can see, this is a slightly different look right now. I'm not filming in my little studio like I normally am. So we're just going to jam through this. Hopefully this video turns out well. So without further ado, here we go. Number 25, No One Lives, starring Luke Evans and directed by Rui Kitamura. Fantastic, entertaining slasher film. Number 24, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, starring Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk, and directed by Eli Craig. This was one of those movies like No One Lives. It just came out of nowhere for me. I discovered this on video, and I absolutely adore this movie. Number 23, What We Do in the Shadows, starring and written and directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. Absolutely hysterical mockumentary. My favorite in that genre since This Is Spinal Tap. Absolutely hysterical, funny movie. Number 22, The Guardians of the Galaxy, written and directed by James Gunn and starring Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, and the voices of Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. Excellent, hilarious film. One of my favorites from the MCU. Number 21, Dr. Sleep, starring Ewan McGregor and Rebecca Ferguson, written and directed by Mike Flanagan, based on the Stephen King novel. This movie proved the impossible to me, that you could make a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining while incorporating the original novel at the same time. I love this movie. Okay, top 20. Number 20, Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, and Bill Paxton, directed by Doug Liman. This movie is terrific. They are talking about doing a sequel to it when Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible franchise is done. I hope they don't, because quite honestly, this movie's perfect just the way it is. Number 19, Snowpiercer, starring Chris Evans, Tilda Swinton, and Ed Harris, directed by Bong Joon-ho. This is an incredible, incredible movie. I absolutely love this movie. I will be upgrading this to Blu-ray very soon. 18, Deadpool, starring Ryan Reynolds and Ed Skrein, directed by Tim Miller. Again, like Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the most entertaining superhero movies ever. This movie is absolutely hysterical. Number 17, Kingsman, The Secret Service, starring Taron Egerton, Colin Firth, Mark Strong, Michael Caine, and the incredible Samuel L. Jackson, directed by Matthew Vaughn. I said earlier in those videos that these movies were written by Matthew Vaughn. I was incorrect. He only directed them, but this movie is absolutely fantastic. Number 16, The Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, and Margot Robbie, directed by Martin Scorsese. This is one of my favorite Martin Scorsese movies. Definitely contains Jonah Hill's best performance. I love this movie. Hysterically funny. Number 15, It, Chapter 1. Directed by Andy Muschietti and starring 6 of the best child actors I have ever seen in a film, and Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Excellent, excellent Stephen King adaptation. Again, cannot stress enough how incredible the cast of kids are in this movie. They are all excellent. Number 14, John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. Starring Keanu Reeves, Ian McShane, excuse me, Halle Berry, and Mark Dacascos. As I said in the last video, I've made a decision. Part 3 is my favorite John Wick movie. This movie's great. Oops, excuse me. Number 13, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Starring James Franco, John Lithgow, and Andy Serkis as Caesar. Directed by Rupert Wyatt. The first chapter in the Caesar trilogy. This movie absolutely blew me away the year it came out. It was the best movie of that year. It's one of the best movies of this decade for sure. Okay, number 12, The Nice Guys. Written and directed by Shane Black and starring Russell Crowe, Kim Basinger, Matt Bomer, and in one of the funniest comedic performances of the last 10 years, Ryan Gosling. These two are so good in this movie. And Ryan Gosling, like I said, he is absolutely hysterically funny in this movie. Number 11, Avengers, Infinity War. Starring the entire MCU, basically. And Josh Brolin as Thanos. Directed by the Russo brothers. Great film. Set up what was to come. One of the best superhero films ever. Okay, here we go. We are down to the top 10. Number 10, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. The second installment in the Caesar trilogy. This one was directed by Matt Reeves, and it stars Jason Clarke, Gary Oldman, Kerry Russell, and Andy Serkis as Caesar. This is my favorite Planet of the Apes film in the entire franchise. Number 9, Avengers, Endgame. Directed by the Russo brothers, and like Infinity War, starring just about everybody who was ever in a MCU movie, especially in this case when they go back and forth in time and reenact scenes from earlier films. Great film, incredible achievement for the MCU. Unfortunately, just about everything that's come out after this has been lacking, but this was definitely a high point for the MCU. Number 8, Inception. Directed by Christopher Nolan and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Elliot Page, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, and Cillian Murphy. Outside of The Dark Knight, this is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. This movie melted my brain, just like The Matrix, the first time I saw it. I love this film. Number 7, The Raid, Redemption. Directed by Gareth Evans and starring Iko Uwais and Joe Taslim. And Mad Dog, there he is right there. Incredible, incredible action film. Great. I mean, there's no other word to describe it. It's incredible. Number 6, Baby Driver. Written and directed by Edgar Wright, and starring Ansel Elgort, Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, Lily James, and Kevin Spacey. One of the most unexpected films from that decade. I love Edgar Wright. Every film of his that I've seen, I absolutely love. This one has become my favorite. We are down to the top 5. Number 5, Cabin in the Woods. Directed by Drew Goddard, and starring Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Connolly, Bradley, Jesus Christ, I'm having a brain fart, I'm sorry. Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins, of course, with a special appearance by Sigourney Weaver. Probably the most fun I had in a theater that decade. I shit you not. The first time I saw this movie, it just brought me back to being a teenager in the 80s watching horror films. I love this film. Number 4, Train to Busan. Directed, here we go again, by Young Sang-ho. The best zombie movie, related movie I should say, because this is kind of like 28 Days Later, but we'll call it a zombie movie for, the sake of argument. This is the best zombie-related film in the last 10 years. It's not even close. The only thing that even comes close in this millennium is the remake of Dawn of the Dead. This movie's incredible, and it has an emotional punch that was totally unexpected. Number 3, The Raid 2. Directed by Gareth Evans, and again starring Iko Uwais, and these 3 incredible actor/martial artists. The guy in the middle, you might recognize, he's in John Wick 3. And as a matter of fact, the John Wick movies, I believe, would not really exist, without the Raid movies, because all of the fight coordinators and half the stuntmen and later on, actors, appeared in those movies. This is one of the best action movies ever made. Number 2, Logan. Directed by James Mangold, and starring Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. The best superhero film from this decade. And it's constantly battling with The Dark Knight as the best superhero film of all time, in my opinion. Excellent film. But number 1 is Mad Max, Fury Road. Starring Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, Nicholas Hoult, and Hugh Keays-Byrne. I know on the last video I said Rose Keays-Byrne, and that was Rose Huntington Whiteley, who is also in this film. But this, obviously, I think it's my favorite film from this decade, and I think it's definitely one of the best. I still have not seen Furiosa, and I really need to do that quickly because that movie's tanking, and from all accounts, it's really good, so I don't know why. But Fury Road, like I said, I know opinions differ, but I just think it's a masterpiece. So number 1 is Fury Road. Number 2 is Logan. Number 3 is The Raid 2. Number 4 is Train to Busan. Number 5 is Cabin in the Woods. Number 6 is Baby Driver. Number 7 is The Raid, Redemption. Number 8 is Inception. Number 9 is Avengers, Endgame. Number 10 is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Number 11 is Avengers, Infinity War. Number 12 is The Nice Guys. Number 13 is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Number 14 is John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. 15 is It, Chapter 1. 16 is The Wolf of Wall Street. 17 is Kingsman, The Secret Service. 18 is Deadpool. 19 is Snowpiercer. 20 is Edge of Tomorrow. 21 is Doctor Sleep. 22 is Guardians of the Galaxy. 23 is What We Do in the Shadows. 24 is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And my 25th favorite film from the 2010s is No One Lives. So I hope you enjoyed these picks. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few on this list that, people have never seen or don't like, and that's fine. That's half the fun of these lists. It's all subjective. So I would love to hear what your favorite movies are from this decade. And until the next one, please, if you like, give me a subscribe, a thumbs up, and really, I would love to hear your comments. But until then, we'll see you on the next one.